Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chesswise. Today we are at the next topic, that is the king and pawn endgames. We are at the 9th lesson of the topic and we are going to discuss about the floating squares. So the rule says a square whose edges are occupied by the pawns on the same rank. So let's see what it means. So we see that the pawns are here on the same rank and they form a square. So we see that a square is formed and that square reaches the edge of the board. Exactly it is coinciding the last rank. Then the pawns cannot be stopped by the king. So this is the rule. Let's try to take two examples and understand the rule. We can see that the black king is not able to come to the aid of his pawns. So the pawns will try to manage themselves and we have to see whether they can hold the position on their own. So let's take this position as both white to play and black to play to understand the rule. Let's start with white to play first. Suppose it is white's move and of course white will not play ke5 when we see that h4, king rushes back to f4 and d4 and we see the king is already struggling to be in the magic square of the pawn. So the rule which is mentioned, it is not related to the magic square of the pawn. Do note that. We are just talking about the squares formed by these two pawns. Okay. So now if king revates on the f3 square, then black first plays h4, pulls the king towards the pawn by kg4 and then it goes to d4 and automatically what happens? Whenever the king takes the pawn, it runs out of the magic square of the black pawn. So after kh4, d3 and the pawn promotes to queen. So let's take the position with black's move now. Nothing changes. Black just plays h4, allowing the king to go to g4 when again d4 reaches the same position. So white waits with kf3, black goes d4, white again waits by kf2 and now after h3 we see that nothing much is left. If king e2 then h2 pawn queens and after kg3 same d3. White can try to play his king on f3 or f2 but then again same technique h2, kg2, d2 and the black pawn promotes. This rule is simple but there are two more sub rules inside this. Let's say the square is not forming on the edge of the board, then what? That I am going to cover in the next part. Let's take one more example to understand the rule. Now let's take the same rule and let's put the pawns little more ahead. So the pawns, black pawns are advanced now, black is going that side. So what we realize here, the pawns are again see this time on the 5th rank and again the square formed by the pawns we can see this is the square 4 by 4 and they are on the edge of the board and in the same rank. So what will happen again in this case, it's white move or black to play. In both cases, the black pawns will manage to win the game. Let's say if it is white's turn, then kg2, e3, king f1, h3 and we see that the white king is struggling. After kg1, just h2, kh2, e2 or e2, kf2, h2 and again black wins. And if this position is again black to play, same thing, black just goes h3 first, king g3, e3 and we see that the black pawns prevail, white cannot hold the pawns. In the next lecture, we will look at what happens if the pawns are although in the edge or if the square is not forming and touching the last rank, then what happens? There are two rules related to that which we will discuss in more detail. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.